I feel that,
Can y'all lower it down over there?
that religion and these isms that we're going through now
Please lower it down out of respect for our brother.
is an effect of extraterrestrial beings. Basically, my question to you is, are there any unseen entities, beings, other than the Tamil Caucasian, that are responsible for the heart of the human evolutionary process? And if so, who are these beings? And if not, is it just an outcome of our natural solar cycle or cycle by solar system? Do you fully understand the question I'm asking you?
Yes, sir. And I'm gonna keep it as short as possible. I wrote a book called Extraterrestrials and Religion, the logical and cosmogonical origins of the religions that plagiarize. All right? And in this, what I qualify the answer to that question is, undoubtedly, people world over have not only experienced who they identify as star beings, not me, but these same beings that have been identified as beings from the stars have obviously encountered more than one culture. And each culture that has an account of these star beings that physically demonstrated on what they were before the people, everyone had their own interpretation of their experience with the same beings. You understand what I'm saying? So, it is not me. I always say this to people. When people say, man, so now you into extraterrestrials, but you can't believe in God. I say, listen, extraterrestrial, an additional amount on Terra, planet Earth, from the stars. There are accounts. If you go into the Egyptian doctrine thick enough, deep enough, you have what they call the sun folk. Most of what we think we know about the Tamarian doctrine is just rumors. Like, for instance, the Immaculate Conception. Many people think that we should associate the Immaculate Conception of the Christians' theology with ancient Egyptians' theology. And it's not the same. Horus or an Isis or a Set, that's mythos, because people been downloading information. And I'm gonna tell you, there's like 3 major distinctions amongst stories that spread about Egypt in the community. And I would say almost all the time, all 3 are wrong. Okay, so when you go into like the coffin text and the pyramid text, you have to actually read over 700 chapters. Many people will just settle for the download and what they can get on the internet, which is no problem, it's a stepping stone. But we talking about reading over 700 plus chapters when we going into the Kemetic doctrine. And one thing that you will learn about is what they call sunfolk. And it can be interpreted as such depending on the person and the scope of that person's perception. So what I'm saying is, beings have encountered several different races and subspecies of those races, and they have their accounts and their recollection of how they identified physical beings that were great before them. And these beings were so great or so advanced in information that they were rendered gods because of how great and how advanced in information they were, as other people got a chance to experience them. If you study the Dogon, who get their information from the Hogon, you'll know that they know about Sirius B, Digitaria, Botolo, and when they ask about information, they want to know if you learn from the front or the back. Go ahead. If you want to know if I identify with the extraterrestrial phenomenon,
I said that, are there any unseen entities or beings other than camels that are responsible for the heart of human evolutionary process? And if so, who are these beings?
I will tell you, I just told you, that many beings encounter them. I told you one would be called sunfolk. I'm trying to give you something to go back and check out sunfolk. We should talk about sunfolk more. Because when you go into the Egyptian teachings, it's very, very deep. Also study Yah. Yah is a principal, listen to me, Yah is a principal deity in Egypt, right? And then you have the word Mes, or where they get the word Moses, where some interpret as baby, or drawing out the waters and talking about Moses. But anyway, when you put composite together, Messiah, right? Or born of the Messiah, Messiah, you'll find Yah was a principal deity in Egypt.
I appreciate y'all coming out and all the elders too. My question was, I came out for nationality and status correction. I really want to find out a little bit more information about that. But my question is to both of the gentlemen, both of the brothers. Under one unifying principle, what would you think under status correction and nationality? What's one unifying principle for all the religious groups and us being black? What's one principle that would unify all of us?
Oh, you want to use this
Like my mic?
The principle that I would deal with, if you're studying law, there are two principles of nationality. Just solely and just sanguinis. Just solely means your rights by way of soil. Who are the first people of a particular land because they have lawful precedence to be on that land and to operate government. Just sanguinis deals with your bloodlines. So we can use science, look at craniology, archaeology to see who the first people on any land are, and they have lawful precedence to operate their socio-political entities. So I think that the common factor that we have as a people, without letting other people into our systems and societies, is that if we acknowledge that we are the indigenous people of this land or Africa, we can get these fake puppet African leaders out of the way, and we can focus on ourselves here under that principle, because anybody can be all this other stuff and file documents and do all that stuff. That's anybody. White people, Japs, Chinese. We have a specific remedy that is needed amongst our people, so that's why I advocate the indigenous paradigm, and the only indigenous people on this planet are the people who are calling themselves African or African American or those types of people.
Yes. No problem, no doubt. We're gonna ask the people for a free will offering when the time suffices. Don't run like I said before. We are over our time, and it's important that we don't always close out before we speak to the people that have questions. So we're gonna ask the people to qualify this time, this energy, and that information. We're gonna go into overtime. We're gonna pay the bill no matter what, but we just ask y'all to participate, because everybody's participation is going to be a lot easier, but we're going to go on. The two principles that I would say that we can unify on. One, I would always say one of the biggest misconceptions is that we're going to be able to unite most black people. Every doctrine caters to the specific interests and needs of those particular individuals at that specific time. What I would say is what we all can relate to, which would make many of us hearken to the call, is anything rooted in economics as it relates to us immediately on an individual scale first and foremost. And with having said that, the two words that come into mind is inalienable and unalienable rights.
Right.
Rights given to you by man and rights rendered to you by God. All right? And when we say that we're sovereign, first and foremost, we're talking about having self-control. That's what we have in our sovereign Bible and in our lessons. That's the only thing you truly can control overall when you are in sound mind. Self. So inalienable and unalienable rights. Rights rendered to you by way of privileges given to you by man. And then the rights that you have as a being of the supernatural forces or the ancestors that brought you forth. The reason why that's very important is because that would be subsumed into two other categories, which in the physical realm would be common customs and civics. And we have to learn how to integrate civics with common customs. Meaning, our customs will change in varying degrees from one era to the next as the commercial implications are growing more and more abundant. All right, so where we are as a people in terms of commerce, we have to make some adjustments or modifications in our common customs. And the reason why I brought up unalienable and inalienable rights is because we have to find the barometer for us to survive in this world without compromising the moral integrity of our missions as children of the Creator, or creators. So what we can relate to people about poverty, economics, our moral integrity, whether we say it is grafted out of ideas from our religion or just how we feel in terms of our will. When we keep it on that scale, We can communicate with everybody because everybody can relate to right and wrong morally, how they feel, and they can relate to poverty and how it affects them, and their endeavors and ambitions in terms of success.
I'm in the street myself teaching. Islam saved me to a degree when I was a 5%, so it stopped me from doing the things I was doing. And then on the other side of that, you know what I'm saying, I see Islam destructive and cause confusion. To both of y'all, I would like to ask you this. Can y'all please establish a team from out of your organizations to hit the streets to give the people the same opportunity that these people in here have to learn about different things that's going on? Because I'm in the street by myself and I'm trying to raise the households and the people in the streets up, you know what I'm saying, to bring them some kind of insight. Can y'all establish a team that y'all can send to the streets, you know what I'm saying, to actually teach the people what the people in here are learning?
So,
Thank you, God.
you got that, brother? You got the question?
Yeah, I mean, the question is on establishing something. What we've done in our society is we hit as many cities as we can with teachers who teach on a weekly basis in the public, giving people information about economics, their culture. We have 4 classes, first class on history, second class on law, third class on economics, fourth class on health. And we do that in Chicago, New York, Philly, DC, Atlanta, LA, wherever we at. And we'll do more. You know what I mean? If you know, like you said, we in the street, brother, you see me everywhere. Trying to give my people some information. And we're going to keep it up. If we need something more specific, we have to do what Bam said and get it together behind closed doors, not all these cameras or whatever, and figure out something that's more functional, which is why we call it help this, which I'll let the brother elaborate on, to do that, but some of them didn't show up. But we got to find a method to do it. We always open.
Yes, and I also want you, because this happens, this is recurring, this question is kind of recurring for me. I want you to understand that just because you going hard in the streets, I don't want you to feel alone. I don't want you to feel that because what you go through at the level you are on, that you may possibly be by yourself. I don't like that talk. I understand where it comes from because it comes from a place of seeing the way we deal with each other on a day-to-day basis immediately in the environment that needs the most help. So I understand the conviction, but I want you to know that whether you see us or not, it may not suffice to assume that other people are not working on the streets, quote unquote. Because for me, I can also say, I don't know how much you're working on the streets. It's not an attack. I'm showing you the psychology. A lot of these brothers is gang members, or former gang members. They came from the streets. Gangs are in the streets. They're not really in the schools. So I would have had to been speaking to people on the streets for gangs, the leadership to come into the fold of community. Okay, these are gang leaders, not all. A great deal of them their members. Okay, they do the security. Of course, not these guys. These guys are, you know, bang bang. You know what I'm saying? Legal guns. All right. So I'm not gonna be done like Malcolm. I tell people that all the time. You know, when you don't see them with the homeboy hat on, just know. It's what the first nigga said, get your hand out of my pocket. Trust me, the story gonna be rewritten. Because us, we a whole different breed of black people. We're not gonna be going down like that no more. If Malcolm would have had his team, that man would have never walked out. And he shouldn't have walked out that day any damn way. To keep it real, we some scared ass people. One gun, it's like some damn jacking on a plane with somebody with knives. That don't make no sense. Black people talk all this shit and fight amongst each other, and the man coming in, gun down your leader, and he get right out the front door. It should never happen again. So when you see us like this, a lot of times people say, why you got security in front of your own people? You afraid of your people? Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Yeah. If that sister was a male with some high testosterone, she would have attacked my ass earlier when I was talking about Islam. Real talk.
I mean, I really waited to come to this section.
Let's get low to respect our brother talking.
Thank you. I want to thank both of y'all for having an intelligent debate for all of us, for our families, for our children, and everything. But
give this brother respect so we can hear what he's saying.
thank you, brother. Especially for Dr. Ali, my question. You know, with all due respect, I've been watching the elections, YouTube, TV, coming to your lectures, classes, forget it, and following it work the best I could. You know what I mean? And I come from, I'm more of an individual in my family. So my family taught me a lot of this stuff, but going to work, going to school, time passed, not the 80s, the 90s no more, not even the 2000s no more. You know what it is. So it's like, if you're a growing spiritually, and then you have to still deal with these mundane, quote-unquote systems, you're aware of sovereignty and righteousness and law, and study all of that, but you're still filing taxes and all that. You want to make the transition, you got to pay the bills and take care of the children. What do you think is the best advice to start with that, just to fix that and bring that back to your picture?
Wow. All right, so the question on the floor is, if you want, yeah, we got about applause. If you're studying sovereignty, and you're studying these things, and you're trying to make the transition out of a certain lifestyle, bills, and all those other things, there's a lot of different approaches you can take. I think that one of the things that we have to do is just spend more time reflecting on what we want out of life, period. What do you want to do? And then consult the people who are specialists. We got astrologists, divination systems all in here. Yo, go make a donation or a gift to one of these brothers and sisters who can enlighten you about more of your attributes that you might not be aware of. The purpose of us learning all of this ancient knowledge is to use it so we can explore our potential. So our job is to set up those systems. We got cosmologists, we got Ampu, we got all of these people. These are people who I go to when I can't see. Sometimes I can't see. I'm like, yo, give me a reading. So learn where your resources are in your community. Learn where the things that are valuable and attach to those resources. So any of these communities that have resources, attach to them. Don't be stupid. Don't just jump in them. And start filling out documents and doing all those things. Research them. Come to the classes. Ask questions. Watch the live streams. But the answer is already in you. You just got to open it up. And no, nothing that I say can necessarily unlock it. I can only help, but I can only help. Consider, what are you here for? You got billions of years of ancestry, and you, me, the answer is already there. We need to spend more time in meditation on why we're here and what we're here to do.
Brother Reggie. Hey, peace, Hotel, Shalom, Hotel, Black Power. Definitely want to thank the promoters, Sarnetta, King Simon, and Polight, and the family for just behaving properly in this very, very important debate. So everybody, we should just give our hands, so the hands to we are moving. And definitely some of the elders, Brother Ben and Brother Kaba, peace to them. This question is more of a scholarly question. So part of this debate was dealing with the kind of the origin of historical origin of Islam. And there has been a lot of talk about, Islam being black or black Arabian, and that there is some African origin of Islam. Now, when we study, and I'm not Muslim, but I respect everything, and when we study, we see that there's a new chord of making Islam black when Islam is just Islam. So there is there's this notion of that there's an African origin of Islam, but the Quran actually says that anything before the revelation of the Prophet Muhammad, right, through the angel Gabriel, right, was something called fitra. So that it is, well, that's why I'm here to ask a question. That's why I'm here. If the Quran says that before the revelation of Islam, the oneness of God and the nature is fitra, how could we now say that there is an African origin of Islam? So I see. Let me just. So this is to both scholars. Peace.
All right. Now, we're dealing with specific terminology. He just used a word that is in the corpus of the Quran. and he brought an ideology about the oneness of the Creator. Let me explain something to you about that epic of time. I have this in my book. In 2012 and 2000, and this is the answer to the question with as much science as possible to merge over the language, to help. In 2012, astronomers at the Isan Telescope Observatory in Europe used a telescope to do something that they never saw in the universe. At the middle of this galaxy, they saw for the first time what they're calling a black hole that has 16 stars surrounding it actually swallow a gas cloud. And it answered almost every question in astrophysics about something called the singularity. The singularity deals with the unified field and what is actually holding everything in the universe together. So they were amazed because this particular black hole, which has what we call infinite gravitational ability or powers, swallowed up this particular gas cloud into nothing. So that defies the laws of physics. Look up the term singularity. What does it have to do with Islam? The Sagittarius A portal is the basis of how the Muslims scheduled their calendar. And there was only one group of people who did that in Kemet, and it's on the walls of the tomb of an astronomer called Sin Mut. I put it in my book with the graphics. So why am I stating this about monotheism? Monotheism, as we talk about it, if we put it in the proper indigenous context, is only our people's acknowledgement of an astronomical force that holds all creation together. That power has two attributes. It is black as far as attenuation power, color, frequency, and it is infinite in gravitational force. So every original Ramadan, which was slated to December 21st, the winter solstice, the sun, the earth, all three Sirius stars, and the Sagittarius A portal make an alignment. We placed our most sacred month and time of the year to align to this astronomically, and it's only been done 2 times in history. So when Islam says that things that came before it, or it implies that Islam was an upgrade to certain sciences, we have to look at it in the context in which they shaped calendars, astronomy, and what was then a real study of astrophysics. Because they were identifying the Arsh al-Istawa, the throne of the Creator, as a physical place in creation, that particular place was the moving force of all things in the universe. And they used that particular study to shape the Ilm al-Najm, the study of stars, which was a lot different than the Greco-Roman world. And they shaped their whole metaphysical concept around that astronomical study. And they considered that in their own right an improvement on the works of their ancestors. Now, whether that means to you that my eye is the tree and Islam is the branch, that's an argument that people can take up. But their point was, Islam was not a branch of the former, that it was a complete improvement of the former based on their text and what they wrote. How we analyze that, it's a long-ass discussion. But I think that if we take the astronomical principles that's laid out in the corpus of the book, and the actual first 150 years of the Umayyad period, where we have the documents of how they laid out these theological concepts in a metaphysical and astrophysical concept, we'll see how people was dealing with reality and science.
But that's not Bitcoin. That's not Islam. My point is, you're broken. Right? You know how to...
Okay, elaborate, help me out. Help me out, help me out. Just help me out.
I got to respect the we don't have time. But you didn't talk about al-Fiqh.
Okay.
And al-Fiqh talks about the oneness of creation that can actually be part of that. But that is not Islam. Islam only comes about through the revelations of the Prophet Muhammad. That's what the book, peace be upon him. That's what the Quran says. Anything else before that that contributed was the oneness, which is fiqra, al-fiqra. So, you didn't answer the question. It was a...
Help me out, because how you frame it,
you're not elaborating on your concept of fitra to what I'm talking about as Islam. What's your
Well, I'm not a Muslim. So then you have to quote now for me what the Prophet Muhammad said about al-fitra. Otherwise, I can Google it, but we don't have time. But that's
in comparison to Islam.
What the Prophet Muhammad said about al-fitra, they basically said that Abraham and Moses practiced fitra. They didn't practice Islam.
That's not
Quick question. Do both of y'all think that ego and testosterone and this and the way it was uniting and doing what we're supposed to do as a people? Real simple question.
Brother said, asked the question, do we think ego and testosterone get in the way of us uniting? Hell yeah, it can. That's when you don't recognize that we can only do it together. Anybody running a family knows you need collaboration. If you're not going to get collaboration, you're going to fail. So ego and testosterone are components of self naturally, and when out of control, they can create a problem. So that's all I have to say about that. Hopefully I answered your question. Brother Polight, one comment, God?
Yes. My answer is yes. It's cut and dry. Ego does get in the way. However, I haven't seen a lack of ego in any leader we ever had. It's part of the propensity, to tell you the truth. You know, you have to have a certain level of ego to stand up here and say, I know something you don't know. You know, it's our demonstration, it's our approach, you know, that can either turn people off or put them onto it. So we definitely need ego, because the second you decide to teach, there's a lot of attacks. There's a lot of hesitation, reluctance, then slander comes, and backbacking comes, and then it's a design. If you study the COINTELPRO website, you know, a big part of those covert programs is to get people to distrust up-and-coming leadership. And when they persevere, they just heighten their debauchery. So ego you need, because that's all you have when it feels like sometimes the whole world is against you or they're not elevating at a fast enough speed. All you have is this thing that tells you, you know what, despite it all, I got this conviction that I still can have an effect. And you can't do that without an ego. And as a black man, you get threats for teaching something different. You know, you get into confrontations for teaching something different, and no matter how intellectual you are about this, someone's still gonna come at you. I done tried so many different varying ways to teach. People still come at you in a very negative manner. And the only thing that can shelter you in that particular case would be your ego. So there's positive demonstrations for ego and negative demonstrations for ego. So it may be the hindrance in our community to collect, but I think that's more insecurity than it is ego. And I also think it's about poverty. The main reason I believe we don't have unison in the community is because the leaders are broke. And I'll explain to you what I mean by that. When you have broke leaders, they can't see why they will unite, because they might lose their congregation and their little DVD sales go out. You feel me? If you got leaders that actually have, then their number one cause would be unity, because they would know, I'm not insecure. I feel that I can give a hell of a dissertation. I feel I'm a hell of a debater. You know, I feel that I'm a great writer. I feel intelligent, charismatic. I feel good about myself. So if I were to work with somebody else, I don't feel I'm going to lose. I don't think every leader has that within their mind. I think there's male insecurities going on in their mind, and they're thinking about what they may lose, not what they will actually gain. I think it's more economical to actually unite. But so I'm telling you is the problem we're having is male insecurity particularly, and poverty. Because if the leaders were more well off, I believe they have no problem uniting in a heartbeat. I think they think about losing their congregations a lot, and the fiat that corresponds with it.
A lot of people was impressed, man. Are you happy?
You see my shit.
Are you happy with the outcome? The overall outcome? outcome of the debate. You put these together, hold up, you put a lot of money together, you do a lot, brother. So are you happy with the overall outcome? Because some people think it's divisive, some people love it. Are you happy with your outcome tonight?
That black man came and used Western science to prove his own argument that's different than Europeans. So the whole thing was we using is this Western science to try to prove certain theories that work. Like perfect example, if St. Dion goes into the lab, what science is what lab?
I don't have yes.
Who is funding this? This is European funding.
And he's like, yo, you sure you want to do this? Because you know we don't want to make a mockery.
So you telling me the brothers and everybody that went in there
crazy about the young people really did this. You see that young boy right there, like, yo, I'm gonna join this college. You feel me? And his mom can't deny it. So I'm like, you know what? What is something like about it? I'm talking to him. Yo, I like the humor. I like the creative stuff that you do. You know, so I'm like, you know what? If that's the case, I asked the elders, give me a pad. I'm going to deliver the information. Hard body. But you got to allow me to communicate with them a certain way so they can know people just like them is study. Because I have to buy books to get ready for this battle. I have to read those books to get ready for this battle. I have to take the time out and present. So I have to spend my own money and spend hours of time not only reading what I would like to read to do my point, but reading what he might be reading to his point so I can get prepared. And then to challenge myself today and try something risky, which was I built my PowerPoint while he was talking down to how much seconds he spent on something, how much minutes. So I'm like, yo, I want to make sure when I leave today, there's no question about it. So far, I haven't been hearing no questions about it. Even people that came in and saying, yo, I was going to sign about it. And then I want to increase the participation as a consensus. So we don't want to say, man, when we going to get the votes? The votes are done. And this was just trying participation. We don't want people to kind of like, knowledge here or there because the information's so deep. It can knock you out. You know what I'm saying? It's real.
No. I can tell you. I'm going to do that and then I'm going to come up with
So you came out with loaded lugs. You came out with
came out with loaded lugs. I had boxing gloves on.
Right off the Barnary sub-stop, Philadelphia, PA. Shot so loud you would think it was a club spot. African Americans, although we all over the web, we the hood librarians. We ship to prisons too. We reach out and deliver to those that's bitten too. But it's more than a bookstore. You want it, we got it. Mixtapes, DVDs, and culture products. Black and Nobel got our hands in a lot of projects. We welcome all to come build. The energy is positive. And remember, other team is awake and conscious. Come through and experience this place of knowledge. They say they'll put it in a book if they wanna hide it from us. But we got them books so you can buy it from us. Something to read while you on a train or riding the bus. Get your read on, food for thought, get your eat on. Black and Nobel, I buy my books at Black and Nobel. Black and Nobel, I buy my books at Black and Nobel. Black and Nobel, I buy my books at Black and Nobel.